And now, let's get back down to politics in D.C. Look, we've been talking about the president's jobs bill, and he is really adamant about sending it through and blaming the Republicans over and over again. Take a listen.
You know, last week, for the second time this month, Republicans in the Senate blocked a jobs bill from moving forward. Now, this is a jobs bill that would have meant nearly 400,000 teachers and firefighters and first responders back on the job.
Is it that what it's about, though? Is it just the Republicans blocking it, or is it just not a good bill? Representative Kathy Hochul is with us right now, Democrat from New York, down in the Rotunda. Representative, thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
There's a lot of people out there, including many Republicans, that feel like it's deja vu all over again. Your stimulus didn't do what we thought it was going to do, put us into a lot of debt. What makes this different?
Well, we are in a crisis situation right now. You know, the past stimulus that we had, I don't think there were enough controls on that. We're going to get it right this time. And here's what I'm talking about. There's money in there that I desperately need in my district to fix bridges. I've got some of the worst bridges in the country, and there's $50 billion in this plan that I think Republicans and Democrats would support getting out to our communities, getting people back to work, helping our local municipalities meet these obligations, because this is something, no matter how small you think government should be, and I think it should be pretty small myself. I represent a Republican district. We have an obligation to get money back to our district to help with these bridges, roads, and infrastructure. So even if you don't support the entire package, and we all have questions about the whole package, there's much of it I do support. I got to tell you, this is not a partisan issue. Let's fix our infrastructure and get this country going again. At least it's one element that we support. In fact, over half of the plan that the president has proposed is actually tax cuts for small businesses and support to get our veterans back to work. I'm very concerned that when our veterans come home this holiday, and I'm delighted they're coming back after their engagement in Iraq, that they're not going to have jobs to go to. That 11.5% unemployment rate that they're experiencing now is just going to soar. I've got a base in my district. What are we going to do with these people when they come home? The president's plan has an incentive for small businesses to hire not just our veterans, but an extra inducement of $9,600 to help a wounded warrior when they come back. So I think the president's right that you should break it off into pieces at this point. If you don't support the whole package, let's do it more bite-sized, but there's got to be something that we're not partisan about. Fixing our roads and bridges, helping small businesses, and helping our veterans.
I agree completely. I think what is very partisan right now is how we're going to pay for this, right? And I think that's what it's coming down to. Cut spending, raise taxes, simultaneously doing both. We seem to be at a little bit of a standstill with that, which I think is why this thing is going nowhere.
That's exactly right. You know, and I supported during my campaign not eliminating the tax cuts on people making $250,000. I thought that was too low of a threshold. I've got a lot of small businesses that would be hurt by that. Somewhere upwards of $1 million, which they're talking about now. Someone whose annual income is $1 million, and if we ask them to just simply pay what they paid in taxes a decade ago in order to make sure that our veterans have jobs and our roads are fixed and our bridges are in good shape, I think if I look back at that, that's probably a decision we'd all want to make. And when the economy gets back rolling again, we can roll it back at that time. But we've got to have a combination of good spending cuts, which I support, but also a way that we can fund it as well, because those priorities are critical. People are not going to be buying TVs, refrigerators, houses if they don't have the money in their pockets. And one way is that they get a good job. And the president's plan has many elements that I think should be nonpartisan. And let's just get the job done.
But if that's the case, then are we talking about entitlement cuts as well? Because that seems to be a red button that nobody wants to touch.
You know what I'm not hearing enough about with respect to entitlements? And a lot of my Republican citizens, my seniors, they don't call it entitlements because they would say they've been paying their entire lives into Social Security and Medicare, and that money should be there when they're ready for it. So first of all, they don't like that term entitlements, and that's directly from my town hall meetings. But secondly, no one's talking about cutting the underlying cost of health care that's making Medicare so expensive. Why are prescription drugs off the table? Why won't anybody touch that? You know, if we leveraged the purchasing power of 48 million Medicare beneficiaries and went to the market, I guarantee we can get a cheaper rate than we're getting now. We are spending way too much on health care in this country. Yeah. I've sat down with my insurance companies all the time and find out how we can find ways to cut those costs, because we do have to make sure that these programs are on a sustainable path for today's seniors and future seniors.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Representative, where's the 26th district in New York?
Well, it's a beautiful part of New York State, the suburbs of Buffalo over to the suburbs of Rochester, and a lot of heartland in between. I represent a lot of dairy farmers. In fact, I introduced a bill with a Republican colleague of mine to help them get the help they need to get the support on their farms. So I'm very fortunate to represent a beautiful part of upstate New York, and more Republicans than Democrats, but in my area, we just want to do what's right for our people, get people back to work, make sure our infrastructure is in place, help our veterans, and those are our priorities, and I brought those priorities here in my special election just a few months ago.
A little bipartisan piece of the country, I suppose. Representative Kathy Hochul, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.